So traders, there's a bit of a blood in the streets today in the markets. Silver down, gold down a little bit. Mining stocks got hit pretty hard today, but stay calm, stay calm, stay calm, all right? Because there is a much bigger picture that I really want to just share with you, and why this is happening while this is happening right now, I want to teach you exactly how to stay calm in the moments of the storm that these markets are going to give you. Quick little disclaimer, then let's get straight into today's video. Don't place a trade based on what you'll see in this video because there is no guarantees of making a profit in the market. It takes you a long time to become a good trader. So this video here is just to educate you to become a much better trader. So I've just recorded a brand new trading course and I'm giving you a free access to this. This is broken down into 4 different parts. Part number 1 is about the foundations, the biggest mistakes you're making right now, what goes into a good trader. Part number 2 is about the chart reading techniques that's been working since the 1950s. This chart reading, part number 3, advanced chart reading, is about the techniques that I've actually only learned from my millionaire mentor, not from books. And then also my number 1 top trading system mastery. I give you all of that for free and I'm giving it to you. So go to johnsfreegift.com right now or click on the very first link in the description. Alrighty traders, so one of the things that I am always doing, and I'm always doing with myself, and as you would probably know yourself, right? Like, one of the things that these markets are going to do is, for some reason, these markets know human psychology. And human psychology, what that simply means, the market's going to do stuff to push you to the brink of FOMO. I better get in now. And that's generally the top. Or fear. Oh my goodness, I better get out now. The market's going to absolutely complete crash. Right, so the market will always push you in different levels in this level here, right? So if we go down to, say, for example, the stock market, right, and we look at, say, let's just look at the Nasdaq, right, and we know that actually, if I take everything off the screen, we do know that this is what the markets do, right? The markets give you these extremes in these markets. Down here, when the market's crashing, that's when people are freaking out. Big time, right? Oh my goodness, market crash. And then up the top, oh my goodness, better get in. And so you can see how this works against the human psychology around these markets. And this is one of the reasons why most traders have a hard time around trading. And I did for a long time. I've been trading now for just over 20 years myself. And for so many years, I would be influenced by the short-term movements of these markets. Now, I was doing that myself for 2 reasons. One, I was always looking for a short-term move. I was looking for a trade that would last, say, 1 week. And so because I was always looking for that shorter-term move, I was hoping for that move, that short-term week, right? That short-term. Or if I was trading, say, a 5-minute chart, I was always looking for a nice short-term move on the daily chart. Now, as probably some of you are experiencing right now, and I was saying this to my Inner Circle Coaching Club group today, that this market this year is definitely going to be testing a lot of people when it comes down to your ability to be able to stay calm and make good decisions. And I guarantee you this year is probably the most difficult year when it comes down to if you're day trading, that is. Meaning you're looking at 1-minute charts, 2-minute charts, 5-minute charts. This year is the hardest form of trading this year. And I promise you that most day traders out there, or most traders in general right now, are getting their heads handed to them. Because there's so much volatility. It's up, it's down, it's up, it's down. People are getting destroyed in these markets right now. Absolutely destroyed in these markets right now, right? So the one thing that I really want to guide you down this process here is just remember the market pushes you to the brink. And again, the market understands human psychology. It'll push you to the brink of, I better get out. Oh my goodness, the market's crashing. Oh my goodness. And then fear takes over, right? These emotions on either side, the FOMO, I better get in now, I'm going to miss out. Or fear, oh my goodness. You know, both of those emotions is never a good idea to make a decision on, right? And so one of the really big, interesting things around these markets, right? And around what's happening here right now, especially when it comes to, say, for example, gold and silver, right? So silver today had a bit of a down day today. And so I got some good news and I've got some bad news for you guys that are involved with silver right now. Do you want the good news or do you want the bad news? All right, let's actually start with the good news. The good news is, I believe that this is just a short-term little drop and we're probably going to see some more upside. But I don't know how that's going to play out though. What I mean by that is that, are we going to see a little bit more drop to the downside first before we see a move up? Overall, over the next, say, 3 to 6 months, within that time frame, the next 3 to 6 months, say from now through the end of the year, I do see silver potentially having a nice move back up, right? So if I go down to, say, the SLV chart here as an example, right, I do see the SLV chart having a nice move back up again. I do see that coming. Now the question is, when's that going to happen? Is it going to happen now? Or are we going to experience more of a pullback, right? So the good news is, I do see ultimately over the next 3 to 6 months, this moving a lot higher. Here's the bad news. The bad news is what we saw right now on the daily charts, right? What we saw right here on the daily charts, how the market's rolling over here. And if this is true, this could be some sort of head and shoulder formation, shoulder, head, shoulder formation. And if that's true, then we're probably going to see a lot more drop to the downside. We're probably going to have a bit of a neckline coming up through there, right? Measure from there to there. We're probably going to see the silver price get down towards the $34, $35 level. So that's the bad. But on the back of that, the bad news, that's the bad news. But even though that's bad news short term. That's if you're long, right? If you're long, right? So as you can see here, that the market's still in a very strong upward trend. So even if the market comes down through to here, comes back down to the 35 level, the market's still in a very strong upward trend. And there's a massive probability that this overall trend is going to continue. You just know how silver works, right? Silver does this. So what that simply means is silver does this to people. It's a wildcat, and this is where day trading silver is a much more difficult process than a lot of other things out there, right? And so even just trading silver here, you must be emotionally calm when it comes down to silver. So once again, good news is I see this thing actually being a process where we're probably likely to start to see a nice move back up on the silver price. The bad news is, short term anyway, even though we are still continuing to see this thing continue, let me do that again. Even though we're seeing this movement, this market starting to really continue up from here, what we're seeing right now and what we're seeing happening here is that we're seeing this. We're seeing that if the market does start to drop, the overall trend is still up. Okay, high, low, high, low. Even if the market goes up and comes back down, the trend is still up. And then we're likely to see that here. So depending on your horizon, if you're trading short-term options like a few weeks options or a monthly option or something like that, this may be getting a lot worse for you, right? Because you're very short-term focused here, very, very, very short-term focused. And once again, this head and shoulder formation may start to come into play. Now it may not for me, and this is where it's very overall. I'm really confident to see this thing overall. And what we're seeing through there. Now let's go look at still gold. Gold right now is continuing to hold through here. All right, continue just to hold through here. So my sort of best guess is that the market's going to turn around really quickly. I don't believe we're going to see too much of a selling period through here. I believe this is what's called a shake and bake. Shake and bake, baby. Now what's a shake and bake? A shake and bake is where the market freaks you out first, and so therefore silver might be getting a lot more downside to come. Shake and bake on the downside, but then also call that I also call that the slingshot pattern, because what typically happens is the market may go up through here, have a bit of support through here, right? Then what happens is we get a drop to the downside, freaks people out, completely reverses, and then this here is the slingshot pattern. Hey traders, just a quick heads up. I'm actually giving away free access to my Mastery Trading course for a limited time. If you go to johnsfreegift.com, or there should be the first link in the description. The fact is that 80 to 90% of the stuff that you learn or you use on these trading platforms is a complete waste of time. And only about 5 to 10% of the stuff that you actually learn and use is going to move the needle in the positive direction for you. And that's over the last 20 years, I've put everything that has helped me move the needle in the positive direction in this here, and I've left everything else out. So go to johnsfreegift.com right now and grab complete free access to this Mastery Trading course. So that's what may be forming right now in silver, but then also the gold chart pattern. As you can see, gold is still holding through here really nicely, just really nicely. And let me let's go to this chart here. Right, so gold right now is still just holding in this tight range through here. Are we going to go up? Are we going to go down? It'd be so good. It'd be so good to see gold start to pick back up and start to get this nice break above this whole level around the $320 level. That would be perfect to see gold through that. And if we do see that, then it could be quite nice by looking at that gold chart there. Let's go look at the GDX from here. And once again, guys, what you want to do is the GDX is having a drop to the downside. Oh my goodness, the top's in. Hang on a minute. Relax. Just slow down. Remember, what you want to do is you're looking at trend analysis. And what that simply means is where are we right now? On the daily chart, it can give you some short-term movements. Right? Short-term little what's called shake and bakes. And a lot of times these short-term shake and bakes is what it's I call it a shake and bake because it shakes you out. It shakes you out and bakes your trading account. Shake and bake. But a lot of the times the shake and bake, which is the trend's been up, but then we get a short-term drop and we see it moving to the upside, that's when we can start to see some raw side. So depending on what happens here, like if we get a sharp reversal, if we do, I don't know what's going to happen here. But if for some reason we've actually got a break below this level here, even if we've got something like that going on, and then we hold and we start to pick back up through there, do you know how powerful that is? If we got something like that, now I'm not saying we are, no one knows. Well, I'm looking for the if scenarios. If we did get something like that, do you know what that means? It is on like Donkey Kongs. The buyers are going to come out of the woodwork so hard, so fast. People are going to go from, oh my goodness, it's dropping, to like, oh my goodness, I'm missing out. The fear FOMO, right? So that's the GDX. And the same thing for the GDXJ as well too. We're dropping to the downside here, okay? Little drop to the downside, and that's what we're getting there. So, but just remember, in every single chart I'm looking at, see my top chart up here? Or actually both these charts, but this chart up here, this is my weekly chart, right? This here is my weekly chart. And what I'm looking for is, firstly, I'm looking for trend analysis, which is higher lows. But notice my moving average. What's my moving average doing? See, my moving average is trending through there, started flattening out, and then suddenly we're starting to get this through here. Notice how the moving average is really strong to the upside. What does that mean? That means that the long-term weekly trend is still massively to the upside. And any short-term movement, even if we get something like that through there, and that through there, is likely to be short-lived before we actually start to see a pickup from there. So right now, and again, anything can change tomorrow, but right now, the major trend, actually no, nothing can't change tomorrow because the weekly chart, right? But the major trend is these short-term drops are just part of the actual overall trend in the marketplace. If we go to the SIL, down day today, right? Complete and utter down day today. Now, what happens here with SIL? Firstly, what's the overall trend on SIL? Well, as you can see with the moving average, what are we seeing here with the moving average? We're seeing what? We're seeing the market go up, flat, and now we're starting to increase. We're probably going to increase through here. So what may be happening, and as you can see this green moving average from here? See that green moving average on my daily chart? That's the 120, but that represents this moving average over here, right? So the 24 on my weekly, you times that, or you times that by 5, and you get the 120 on the daily charts. So what may be happening here is we may be now getting ready for something like this, and then we get going. Maybe we're going to, for the next few weeks, we're just going to spend a bit of time going sideways overall and then get going. So I'm always looking at the trend analysis, highs and lows. The moving average is a momentum indicator. Remember that, right? Momentum indicator. But then I'm also looking at the short-term analysis as well too. Meaning I'm also looking at the short-term moving average. And if I'm looking at the moving averages, I can see here, this is the 20, the 24 starting to pick up from here. This is my long-term 52 coming straight up. And this is my 120 coming straight up. There's a lot of momentum behind this market. So any short-term shake and bake, which is really a drop against the trend, is probably going to be short-lived. And even if it's not short-lived, we're probably going to see something like this where the market picks back up, we come back down, and then we start to pick back up. The overall hard thing about that is just the timing factor. So what happens here with SIL? Right? Now, one thing I am noticing on an absolute short-term level basis, and let me bring on a big chart from here, and let me show you what I'm looking at here from this point through here, right? Let's go to this one here. Let's zoom right in. So what I'm looking at right now on SIL is this. There's a few levels that's happening here, right? We have this major resistance and support coming through here. But notice this level through here, right? Look at this. Notice how we had a lot of support through there on a short-term level. Short-term level, we had that major support. Support. What can happen sometimes, and I've actually got this in my trade examples. Let me actually show you what I mean here. I'll show you this, how what can actually happen sometimes in the markets. It's called like a little false breakdown, then it continues. So I'm going to show you what I mean by here, because this is a pattern that I've actually noticed time and time again. Now, it doesn't mean it's going to happen. So for example, let's go to this one here, right? So as you can see here, look at, this is a very shorter term one, but notice this is a longer term chart. Notice how we had the moving average coming up. We had a bit of support. We had a short term flush down, and then we had a bit of a move back to the upside. Let's go to another one here, right? Here's another example from here. Again, this is the weekly chart over here. Look what actually happened. Short term what? The moving average going up. Short term, we had a flush down, and then we turned right back around. See that through there? And we have support. And then I'm pretty sure there's a few more ones that I have gotten in here as well. Again, here's another example from here. So as you can see here, what can happen, which is a powerful reversal pattern, but it's with the trend though, right? If the moving average is going up through there like that, and let's go do that again. I'll eventually get it, right? If the moving average is trending up like this here, and the overall moving up, and we start to get, as you can see, we start to get what? Support, and then we flush down, but then we reverse right back up again, and you can see that's a bit of a short-term flush down. That's a really powerful, what's called a slingshot pattern. The slingshot pattern, where you have support. The slingshot pattern is about the slingshot pulling back, and then away we go from there. Let's just see if I have any more examples for you to show you. Let's actually go to this one here, because I'm pretty sure that was it. But let me see if I can show you some more examples if I do have them here. Short-term flush down. No, we don't. So the purpose of me showing you there is this. As you can see, look, this is the very short-term analysis on SIL. What comes over the next few days? Because that's going to be a very telling story. If we do continue down, say into the markets, this one here, if we do continue down, actually let's go to this one here. Remember, this is where the overall markets are right now, and we have this major trend line coming up through here as well too. So if we do continue down, this is probably going to come back down, hold for a bit, hold for probably a couple of months, and then start to take off. Right? So we've got to see what actually happens here with the overall short-term drop. Does it completely reverse and go back up, or does it not with the SIL for me? But we do have a lot of support levels through there. But let's go back to this shorter-term level from here. If we do, and this is going to be really, really, really powerful, right? We had this sort of basing out pattern from here, as you can see, basing our pattern. We've got a breakout. Now we're basing out again from here. If this is a complete turnaround, meaning we get something like, maybe something like this, and then we start to get something like that, and we start to get something like that. This whole movement from here, that is going to be a really, really, really powerful, and that's going to be what's called the slingshot pattern. The slingshot pattern is when the market pulls back through here. If you think about it, right, there through there, and you pull back the slingshot and then you let it go. And when you let it go, what happens to the slingshot? The momentum takes it back to the upside. That's what I call the SIL from there. And if I go back to the SILJ as well too, this is not a slingshot pattern. We're still in a very nice upward trend from here. So there's actually nothing bad going on here at all. Nothing bad. You can see we actually had this overall sort of support and resistance going on through there somewhere. You know, possibly even a bit lower than there. So that whole arrow really from there to there is the whole support and resistance. We have the moving average coming up through there, and we have a bit of a short-term pullback. So all this really is, guys, is at the end of the day, this here is a break. It's up. It's probably going to come back down, retest, and then start to see you later, alligator. And once again, if I go back to the SILJ, that's what may be happening as well too, just to come back down, just to retest it. Test it as support. We might get something like that tomorrow, and then we start to see something like that. And then once we see that, then if I go back to my overall charts here, that's that chart through there, then you can see where we're probably likely to see this thing bounce and continue up from here. So overall, guys, that's what I'm seeing right now when it comes to the overall stock market. The overall markets from here when it comes to gold and silver. If I go to the SLV charts here, guys, SLV once again, and this is the SLV chart here. We're seeing just a few things here of what's happening. The absolute worst case scenarios, if I go back to this chart back here, if I go back to my weekly charts, the worst case scenario is I see for silver is we've just gotten out of this long-term basing pattern here, and we are at this level from here. So what actually happens, right? So we do actually have the moving average coming up through there, right? So that could be coming up through there. What could be happening is we could be either getting a drop and maybe getting a drop back down through there. If we do get that, that is still, the buyers are still in control. Because remember, how is a trend formed, right? Market go up, market go down to form the higher low, and then market go back up again. We're in a very strong upward trend, but market have to come back down sometimes, or I'll redraw that again. There's the moving average coming through there, or the market has to just pause for a bit. Because remember, market go up, market come down high low, market go up, market go sideways, market go back, right? That's what markets do. And due to the fact that we have just broken out of this overall sideways pattern from here, we have just gotten from here, that tells me that we're getting ready. We're getting ready for a really big move to come. It may just take another couple of weeks of going through this gyration. We may need that. Or it may not. We may turn around really fast. So any short-term movement on the downside over here is probably very likely to be short-lived because the trend is up. And we have just spent all this time going sideways. So up, down, 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 down. And then guess what? After that, that's where the slingshot pattern starts to kick into place. So there we go, traders. If you need some more help, more coaching, you want to take things to another level with me, then I have an inner circle coaching group where you're with me every single day. There's that second link in the description. You can go, that's an application form to go apply for my coaching program, and you and I personally will have a good chat on the phone about that. Or if you need some more help around my actual trading system, how I actually trade, then that first link in the description there, guys, is a link to my free trading course. I'm giving my free trading course and also access to a free training that I'm running right now. On the free training, I'm going to walk you through exactly how I trade the markets. I'm going to give you my trading system for free. And then also I'm going to email you access to a free complete trading course to help you with the biggest mistakes and stuff, the chart reading techniques and stuff like we talked about today. Speak to you soon, guys.